This concept goes back to Plato, who referred to the fact that oligarchy is a ruling class. Read the discussion in Book 7 of Plato's Republic. Oligarchy, the constitution of many evils. And, of course, today it's the finance oligarchy, the financier oligarchy, a tiny elite of bankers, 500,000 to 1 million people worldwide, who are the beneficiaries and protagonists of economic globalization, financial globalization above all. And today we have across the world a pattern of class struggle against them, simply meaning this. Are you a banker? Well, if you're not, you're a part of the people. So it's the people against the bankers, just that simple. And, of course, the main political factor of the United States, masked by the Obama phenomenon, is hatred of Wall Street bankers. That is the number one item on everybody's list. Hatred of Goldman Sachs, AIG, JP Morgan Chase, the bailouts, and all the rest of it. So now here's what we have. In Greece, another general strike scheduled for this coming week, but already today, at the end of this week, that is to say on March 5th, we have the biggest demonstration so far fielded by the Greek trade unions, and their demand is simply roll back the austerity measures. Don't destroy the health, education, welfare, social safety net of the Greek population as the result of a cynical, orchestrated, speculative attack by Soros, Goldman Sachs, and the rest of the Wall Street hedge funds. So they're trying to defend their standard of living, trying to defend the social gains which they have fought through decades of labor struggles. And, of course, in Greece, it's a bloody history going back to a civil war at the end of World War II. So that's Greece. We'll talk a lot more about that. In Iceland, we'll try to get a report later from Iceland. Tomorrow, March 6th, unless the British and Dutch pull something out of their hats at the very last minute, which would be overwhelmingly an attempt to sabotage the expression of what the Icelandic people are going to say. We're expecting about 2/3 to 3/4 of the Icelandic voters to reject the blackmail and extortion by London and The Hague, backed up by the European Commission, that gang of Eurocrats and plutocrats, and, of course, backed up ultimately by the sanctions of the sinister and widely hated International Monetary Fund. So the bankers are going to take it on the chin in Iceland on March 6th, unless something happens, unless somebody puts tanks in the streets, and I don't think there are enough tanks in Iceland to do that. And then finally, we've had a very positive and hopeful sign on March 4th, yesterday, Thursday. We had a large series of anti-austerity and anti-Wall Street demonstrations on U.S. campuses. This was 100 campuses, 100 colleges and universities, mainly state and municipal institutions, right? State system in California, City University system of New York City, and many others. Similarly, no to tuition increases, no to the austerity dictated by the derivatives bankers and the Wall Street predators as a result of their depression, the depression that they created with the help of their infamous derivatives. This is now a sign that the second half of the millennial generation, the ones that are now in college, as distinct from earlier groups, are going to acquire a certain sense of realism and social and economic reality as a result of a direct attack by Wall Street on them. And in California, they can see that because the 33% increase in tuition, which is being demanded in California, is largely a matter of paying banks. It's making up for losses and depredations, which the zombie banks and counting houses of Wall Street have created with their derivatives. So that is certainly the biggest ferment we've seen on campuses here in the United States for quite a while. So if you look across the world also, you will also see that in Portugal, we had a nationwide strike yesterday, which seems to have been at least reasonably successful, and people are now looking to the militant Spanish trade union movement and indeed to the Italians to see what they come up with in response to this. Now, let me, however, before we go through more details of these mass actions, which are the very exciting counter response to what Wall Street is doing, let's go through the big scandal. Now, this is something you can find on my website, tarpley.net. I did a commentary on this on Tuesday on Russia Today. This was then played all day Tuesday, well, all day Wednesday, and became a big story on Russia Today on Wednesday. And this is the cabal. This is the bankers' conspiracy, the gaggle of hedge funds deciding to gang up on Athens. And it's what I was talking about last week. We've been talking about this for the best part of a month. The fall in Greek bonds and the fall in the euro, this is not a spontaneous, quote, market, unquote, phenomenon, whatever that means. It generally means nothing. It's usually a term of mystification. This is a deliberate economic warfare strategy by the U.S. and the British, their financial communities, against the euro for the simple purpose of saving the dollar. And the idea is this. The dollar is now so bankrupt and so rotten and so prone to crash, to go into an irreversible slide, that the only way you can support the dollar, if you're a Wall Street finance oligarch, is to try to fix up a situation where the euro is collapsing faster than the dollar. So you're going to make the euro look much worse than the dollar. At that point, international hot money flees out of the euro and back into the dollar, and you have obtained a short-term fix, although at a tremendous cost to everybody involved. This is what they're now reduced to. So it's a diversionary attack, a bear raid against the Greek bonds and indeed Spain and their bonds, Portugal, Ireland, Italy. You know the drill. The pigs group, as the traders at Goldman Sachs like to say, and they should be talking. These are the targets of the attack, and with that, of course, that's a weak Mediterranean or southern flank of the euro, and with that, you can have an impact on this rather large euro market, right? Which is about a third of the currency dealings in the world. It's about 1.2, 1.3 trillion euros a day. You can profoundly influence that by using an articulated strategy with these mediation points. You don't go directly against the euro. You go through Athens, and of course the market for Greek government bonds is far smaller than the overall euro market. So you use that as a weak link, and then you begin to have a multiplier effect in bringing down the euro. Now, I talked about that in general terms last week, but now here's what we have. Friday, February 26th, Wall Street Journal. Headline story, hedge funds pound euro. Traders pile on using multiple big bets. Greek crisis will push currency lower. And here's the news. It is the revelation of a conspiratorial meeting held on February 8th. It's held, we later learned from other accounts, at a Park Avenue, Upper East Side townhouse belonging to Monest, Crespi, Hart & Company, a boutique research and brokerage firm. And what nefarious dealings they had over the filet mignon, we will tell you when we come back in just a minute.